Hey everybody, I have just something kind of quick to show you. This is Akeytsu. It's not a Japanese company. It is a French company with well, it's a Japanese sounding name, and we'll call it a phonetically Japanese French company. So, what is this software? First, a quick story. You know me, I can't get through this without giving you a little story. So, recently I have been recommending Auto Rig Pro in Blender for rigging, and this, the, yeah. Uh, I don't. I don't want to insult other people's plugins, but it's not working for me right now. And you know what? I bought it because it can do some more advanced rigging, like twist bones and like pretty much an automatic auto rig setup. And I know it's constantly being worked on because I get emails telling me that it's been updated, pretty regularly. But Blender's making this push to be more user-friendly, and as you know, me and Blender, we're in a dysfunctional relationship, so I don't really call on Blender more than I have to. If I can, get in and out without getting too emotionally involved, that's a plus. So, since the demise of Fuse, I have a crucial gap in my workflow, and I think probably this is a necessary gap or a necessary part of everybody's like workflow if you don't have an all-in-one 3D software. Akeytsu's, and it's spelled like phonetically, Akeytsu, and the company is Nuki Gara. Again, these are Japanese words with English phonetic spellings from a French company. Uh, do I want more software? No. I want the software that I've already paid for to work, but I'm not against trying new software, and somebody recommended Akeytsu to me for rigging. So I've been trying it. It has a 30-day free trial, and then I think the payment is like something around $150 for the year. And then at the end of the year, you can pay like another $60, and you own the software. It's not a rental anymore. So rent to own. That's fine. It is pretty polished. I was kind of turned off by this interface, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of it. It's sort of reminds me of like late 90s, early 2000s, like Kai's photo tools. Software that's a little bit looking like candy, does cool things under the hood. I'm just going to import one of my Fuse body sculpts so that I can kind of show you how this interface works. Now, really, when you talk to the Akeytsu people, they consider themselves, they consider this program to be an animation program. And that's a big part of what it is, and I'm not doing any of that yet because I'm still trying to rig. But the reason that I'm showing this to you is because Auto Rig Pro in Blender are having a fight right now or something, and I don't need the drama. I just want tools that work. And to be honest, I'm not in love with Blender, so using Auto Rig Pro was just kind of, me trying to like cross the gap in my workflow now that Fuse is gone. But AutoRig Pro, it really feels like a plugin running inside another piece of software, and that other piece of software is just something that I don't love. Like, so very possibly my problems with AutoRig and Blender could be, me. Because there's some, hidden secret key command that, Blender hasn't shared with me. But the reality is I was able to do this in the past with an earlier version, and it's not working now. So, you know what I really appreciated, kind of ironically, about Adobe Fuse was that it hadn't been updated in 5 years. So there were bugs, sure, but I knew those bugs and they didn't change ever. So my workflow was like really stable. Well, no such luck now after the Mixamo apocalypse. And so happy to chop around, and I'm going to show you what I'm learning with Akeytsu. And I have to just, spoiler alert, I like this program. I'm probably gonna buy it. I'm gonna use my free trial to extend that. And also 30-day free trial. What do you got to lose? 30 days. Usually like a free trial is like 14 days. All right, so what I was saying was, like, initially this kind of candy interface was a little bit like, really? Like, can I just have like a professional, like, docked interface? Well, it's not that bad, really. And in the animation window, the advantage is that they spread out your animation curves, your keyframe curves, like across the entire, like, they use your entire real estate. They have a built-in under the hood secret sauce that combines forward kinematic rigging, which is, basically your bone tree, with inverse kinematics, which is basically how everybody animates nowadays. And they make it really, really pretty nice. So let me just show you the auto rigger, because if you're like me and you're looking to fill that gap that has been created by the death of Fuse, and actually, I'm still launching Fuse. It's the death of Mixamo's auto rigger, really. Whatever. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So what you start with is you just kind of take your figure that he imported and you put it onto this default character. I'm not really sure all of these interface quirks. This is a very new, I've only been using it like 2 days. So if I'm already busting out with this video after 2 days, spoiler alert, this is a pretty good sign that I like this. We're going to go into the build pose mode. And then I just need to click on the mesh. Actually, because I know that I have my other little sub-meshes, teeth, hair, blah, blah, blah. Oops. I'm going to just kind of select them all here in the tree. And over here in Rig Atelier, not a Japanese word, we have Bone Zap. That's the auto rigger tool. Alright, so it's going to bring up this little auto rig interface. And, don't follow along. I'm just kind of showing you how easy this is. And first I want to go into a camera mode where I am just using the front-facing isometric camera. And you know how every auto rigger in the world works. You're going to set up some markers. And every auto rigger has, different markers that you set up, and then it fills in the rest. And the ones that you set up, hopefully, are the ones that, you know, are going to be the most accurately placed, and the ones that you did not set, that were kind of interpolated in between, are going to be in the wrong place, no matter what. And someone was just, you know, someone posted like the Mixamo Auto Rigger without fuse, speaking of shoulders, is just absolute crap. Like in fuse, the shoulder was put right about here on this seam line, right, like kind of in line with your lat and the top of it. You can see the bubble that's, you know, your shoulder. But if you use the auto rigger on line directly, like your shoulder ends up like way out here. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to put my shoulder, like, you know, where shoulders go. We're almost done with this auto rigger, and let me just stop talking so we can get through this faster. So it's telling me that my hot point setup is done. There are a few more options under here. There are preset skeletons, and like I said, you can go into the preferences and set up kind of your own, you know, default bone hierarchy. I'm going to use the Unity skeleton. You can also set up how many fingers you want. I'm just going to ignore that for now. But if you do set up fingers, you get more markers, and you can set the marker on each one of the fingers. And we're only rigging like half the side, like every other auto rigger. Then you have this 1 and 2. So this is a kind of unique thing that I've never seen before outside of Akeytsu. I'm going to use the first one. They call this duo skinning. And basically what that means is that you get kind of a rough approximation of your skinning. And like even with only half the rig here. And so you can kind of make adjustments on our interpolated bones. Those are about to like be dropped in. And then you can mirror it over to the other side and give it a little more proper. So they call this duo skinning. There's a little more to it, and I'll show you that in a second. So you see what it's done. It's given me an elbow. It's given me a neck and a head, and a couple of torsos. Well, actually, I think 3 torsos. It's also given me a shoulder. This is all because of the Unity rigging that, you know, I set in this Unity skeleton. So this is a preset. Now let me get out of this isometric mode. I'm sorry, I have to peer around my iPhone. It's actually in the way of my screen. Where is my... Let me just go back to perspective camera. Alright, so as you see, it's found the fingers and it's placed them. And it's put in the elbows and stuff. Now, these are always going to be wrong, no matter what auto rigger you use. So the trick here is not to get a smarter auto rigger, although, yeah, that would be awesome. I think the trick is to find an easier interface to control all this stuff. So I'm just option clicking on this particular bone, and you see if I don't, yeah, I think it's option click, and I can move around this bone without touching any of these bones further down. And normally if you do this, you know, you grab the bone and like everything is going to move a little bit crazy, but because we're in this kind of pre-setup, it is really flexible. It's doing half the work for me. It's anticipating that I want to move this around, that it didn't get it right. And that's the first time I've actually seen an auto rigger be polite enough to know that it's going to be wrong. So, you know, already like some points there. I would probably like slide this this little guy, this little shoulder joint, maybe a little bit more like kind of where my clavicle would meet the, you know, would hit the top of the shoulder. And I don't really care about these bones, although this one should probably be kind of right. Where's my, kind of right where the rib cage starts. This one should be, yeah, probably about where the waist is. Hip is fine, and the kneecap needs to be a little lower. And, you know, no, oops, come on, give me the, okay, there we go. You know, even in Auto Rig Pro, this is like stuff like if I was dragging around this bone, all the bones down in my foot would be like moving around, and this is doing it, you know, a lot more conveniently. So we're still in the primary phase here. I'm just going to put that right on that ankle bone. And I'm not going to bother with the hands, but they would need some tweaking too. And now I'm just going to hit Skull Zap 2, and that's going to like finish out rigging the figure. And it adds these four IK controllers. And already everything is rigged and kind of simplistically weight painted. And I think you can see pretty clearly, like under the armpit, like every other auto rigger, it's made some choices, which, you know, it's skinned part of this, which should be part of the rib cage and the lats, to the arm. So when I move the arm, this is moving around. And whoops, okay, wait, also we get this IK, and again, see how the knee's not bad. It's a little knobby, but that hip is just, yikes. What are you doing, hip? That's kind of scary, and it makes me hurt. Let me just move this one off too, so it's just kind of, you know, I can kind of show where we're going. All right, so once you have it rigged, and this is kind of a partial rig, we haven't done any painting yet, this is just the auto rig. When you go into a fast key for painting, and they call it, what, the painter, and this is where this program starts to become really easy to use. So I'm using some fast keys to hide some of the skeleton rigging. Well, maybe I'll just leave those little dots in there. So these are my bone points. But basically I'm just clicking on a range of the body, and it's showing me my weight paint. This is, you know, probably nothing too surprising. And as you can see, it needs work. That's not surprising. And yeah, weight painting. Yeah, okay, anyone can use an auto rigger. It's the weight painting. That's the important part. And in my opinion, this is what Akeytsu is doing really well. So with an auto rigger, certainly with Mixamo's auto rigger, and probably, I'm guessing, pretty much all auto riggers, what you're ending up getting is pretty much the influence of two bones on any particular mesh. So as I'm clicking on these kind of zones, you know, I'm any polygon that I'm clicking on here, I think they're actually the vertices is what we're tracking in a bone rig. Any of these vertices is automatically spread between the two nearest bones. So there is some smoothing. That's what you're seeing in this like color gradient. But in real rigging, especially like problem areas like this and the hips, these areas need to be shared across more bones. That's going to help them keep their shape. They'll still deform with the rig, with the skeleton, but like spreading these vertices across some other bones are going to make them a lot more stable, and it's going to make them hold their volume a lot better. And I have to say, Akeytsu's system for painting is really fast and really easy. It's, shows that this is a dedicated tool, but it's really all about being able to kind of paint, just grab these grab these joints and just move them around as as I'm doing this. And the secret sauce the secret sauce of Akeytsu is that they handle the IK and the FK like at the same time. If you manipulate a bone from up here, it's FK. If you manipulate a bone from the rigger, it's IK. And this is like not even a fully rigged figure, and we already have IK controls. I'm going to skip over to, I'm not going to bore you with like showing how to paint, because it's basically like a system of going over and over like the problem areas and assigning them to the different bones. But now let me show you this figure after I spent a little bit of time smoothing out these weight paints. And as you can kind of, if you compare it to those other, these are like much bigger gradients and softer gradients. I still have the same bones, but I think, as you can see, there's a lot more overlap among these bones. And the smoothing was really, really nice to handle. Now, as you can see, as I move this around, I don't have that hideous problem anymore. I'm not saying it's perfect, but, and as you can see, like if you look at his chest, I went ahead and painted a little bit of the arm onto the front of the chest and the nipple, just so it would have some life to it when I move it around. And let me go ahead and show you my hip, because I'm kind of pretty impressed with this as well. So here, as you can see, I put in a lot of time smoothing, but yeah, I think I'm gonna put a grid on him. What you end up doing is you just like, you select a bone and you start painting in the smoothing. You select another bone and you paint that smoothing. You select, I know there's another bone in here. That's not it. Where's the other bone? Alright, it doesn't matter. I assume you're going to trust me. As you can see, like, I even, like, smoothed some of this waist onto this buttocks so that it wouldn't collapse when I bend when I bend the joints. Like, I just have to tell you, this is the first time that I have been able to really do any weight painting without tears. And like I said, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it worked so fast. This is just a really nice interface. Give it a try. Now, like I said, there's a whole animation aspect to this with this keyframing, and again, you're using the IK and FK kind of at the same time. That's the secret sauce of Akeytsu. Is, I guess, the key in Akeytsu is keyframing. I don't know. Back to the bone and hammer. So, oh, I see. It's a key when you're in a keyframe. It's a bone and hammer when you're in this. I maybe would use a bone and paintbrush. I don't know. Bone and hammer. That's the alternate name of Akeytsu. All right. I don't have a lot else to show you. This isn't exactly a tutorial, but basically I did want to, you know, show you guys how much better this is than Blender. In fact, I may just throw Blender in the trash because I kind of am not all that invested. I did spend some money, but I'm not going to waste any tears. And you know me, I like a bargain, and this is, I think it's worth the price. So, yeah, recommend you check it out. I think I'm sold. Blender, I'm not returning your phone calls. I want a divorce. Akeytsu, take my money. Alright guys, I know this was kind of scattered. I didn't really have a script. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. We're not out of the woods yet, and 2020 is not over, but take care, keep creating, stay open to new ideas, and I'll be back soon with some more information. Try this out. Akeytsu. Akeytsu. They're not Japanese.